Public Accounts, de Ruyter said he wanted to focus only on evidence of potential abuse of state coffers. The former Eskom CEO appeared virtually before that committee today. ENCA's Heidi Jokos has all the details. Joins me now in studio. Hello, Heidi. So, of course, we were all watching, wondering if Andre de Ruyter was actually going to name names. He did not name names. It became very clear that he was absolutely not going to do under any circumstances, even when a committee member said, we'll let you say the oath, you'll get parliamentary privilege, you can't be sued. Clearly not prepared to reveal that name. But he did talk about who he gave his information to, right?
Yes, certainly. And I think we are none the wiser, unfortunately, as South Africans, but also the Scopa also none the wiser as to who exactly Andre de Ruyter was referring to in his explosive interview with our colleague Annika Larsen. We were all waiting with bated breath to find out who exactly this minister is. What's interesting, though, is that Andre de Ruyter also changed his tune slightly, Sally, because in the interview with Annika Larsen, he spoke about a minister and a number of officials that could possibly be involved in alleged corruption. But today, before Scopa, he said he wants to make it very clear that he never said it was a minister that is involved in alleged corruption at Eskom. He said it's a high-ranking politician. And this is when Scopa said, but could you define what a high-ranking politician is? What is the difference between a high-ranking politician and a minister? And he said, well, you here before me as Scopa members are, for example, high-ranking politicians. So it's very unclear as to who this could possibly be, whether it is a minister, whether it's somebody that's still in office. We're not entirely sure. But Andre de Ruyter making it very clear that he will not divulge the name of this high-ranking official. And he's listed reasons such as security risks, the fact that he has passed this name on to, for example, the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, state security, the Hawks, as well as the police. And he says he's done his job and there's nothing more that he can do. He's also gone as far as saying he's worried about his own safety. We do know that there have been attempts on his life when he was still at Eskom, with him saying that there was poison, or rather he's
cyanide put into his coffee or something.
Yes, into his coffee. So he's indicated that he needs to be very careful about releasing these names. Let's listen to what Andre de Ruyter said before Scopa today on that.
At this point in time, Honourable Hadebe, I don't think that it is in the interests of the oversight role of Scopa and the nature of the engagement that I disclose this today. I don't think it is a critical element that is important, and I therefore propose that we move on and that that I do not disclose the identity of this minister, because I don't think that it is required for us to enhance, as the Honourable Chairman said, the sole purpose is to look at the potential misuse of public funds, and therefore I would not want to elaborate on that at this point in time.
All right, so he wouldn't be drawn. He wouldn't say who this person was, but he said he did his duty, handed it over, expected it to be investigated. Now it seems Scopa, and they're visibly frustrated, and I think we're all hoping to hear more information, but Scopa is now going to summon Pravin Gordhan and Sydney Mufamadi. So what are they hoping to get out of them?
Yes, so I think the reason why Scopa is going to summon these individuals, which of course include the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, is because Andre de Ruyter naming them and saying we have given them, Andre de Ruyter has given the names to these individuals. So what we do understand is Scopa will be summoning the Eskom board, as well as the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, and any other individual that Andre de Ruyter has said, I've given them the names, which also include law enforcement agencies such as the Hawks, State Security, and the police. And Scopa, of course, at the end of the meeting with Andre de Ruyter, exactly 3 hours after his session, he said, I've been set down for 3 hours. This is all you asked me for. I now need to be excused. So this is when he left, and Scopa sat there and said, so what now? And then they reconvened and said the best thing is to summon these individuals and these agencies so perhaps we can get some kind of clarity from them. So next week it's probably going to be the minister, and the week after will be law enforcement agencies. They will also be sending more questions to Andre de Ruyter. So there's a possibility that he might appear before the committee again if he agrees to, and everybody's wondering if this is even going to be a physical appearance or is it going to be virtual again.
It's also interesting what's been happening around the story in the media. Media 24 dropping a story by Jacques Poe, what he calls I think the dirty dossier
of Eskom.
The reality is that Andre de Ruyter, when he realized there was wrongdoing, he commissioned George Fivers, former National Police Commissioner from many years ago, who's a private investigator, to actually look into things. Jacques Poe saying he's looked at this evidence, it's completely flimsy. But at the same time, we also know that Andre de Ruyter commissioned the law firm Bowman's to look into it, and there's some very substantial and very worrying allegations. So the reality is, no matter the noise, the truth is there is a lot of rot that needs to be uncovered at Eskom.
Yes, certainly, Sally. And it's interesting, though, that Andre de Ruyter, as the CEO of Eskom at the time, decided to institute his own investigation into the wrongdoing at Eskom. Many would say, why didn't he just seek further help from law enforcement agencies, the ones that we actually have here? But he decided to do almost a private investigation into Eskom, and I think that speaks volumes. We have been told time and time again that Andre de Ruyter was really trying to get to the bottom of the rot and corruption at Eskom. He's spoken about these presidential cartels and these coal mafias, especially in Mpumalanga, these coal syndicates that are literally running in Mpumalanga in broad daylight. And he's spoken about the challenges that he has faced as a CEO, the fact that he has raised certain issues and they have been ignored, the fact that there were board meetings without the consultation of him as a CEO, how he's raised many issues around corruption, about certain individuals, about these cartels and syndicates, but he was almost ignored. And possibly this is part of the reason why he decided, if I'm not going to make a difference and come to the bottom of this corruption, perhaps it's best that I leave Eskom. But let's listen to some of his challenges that he faced as a CEO that he presented to Scopa today.
Yes, it did. It certainly made my life quite challenging. Meetings were held with subordinates of mine without my knowledge, and instructions were given, and this did make my life difficult, and I experienced that as disempowering. I know certain of my colleagues on the executive committee had similar experiences. I would direct you to also engage with them to the extent that this is something that you wish to investigate further. But I think that the executive are the people who should run the company and should be held to account by the oversight of the board, and this is certainly the advice that we have received also from the top corporate governance experts in South Africa. So yes, the engaged board did play a role in my finding, in my position.
Yeah, and you know, a part of me thinks I can't blame him for not wanting to name. Yes, he might have legal protection through Parliament, but the reality is this is a man who fears for his life. I mean, I don't think we even knew where he was coming to us from. We don't know the location.
No, we don't. The location wasn't disclosed.
Yeah, he certainly looks a lot more relaxed than when he was at Eskom. I have to say, he looked absolutely haggard half the time at Eskom.
He did.
It's not an easy job.
No, definitely not.
Hadi, thank you so much for wrapping all that up for us. That's our reporter, Hadi Jokos.